Hello everyone and welcome to Struck by Enlightenment. I'm Kristen, Bomas, your host, and joining me today is Evie Katkowski. Did I say it right?
Good, huh?
And I'm going to let Evie tell you a little bit about her life, and then she's got a few questions she'd like to pose. Evie, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Evie. I'm 21 years old, and I'm a senior in college. I am about to go to law school. There's definitely been a lot of changes in my life very recently. I went through a breakup from a very, very long-term relationship. I'm living on my own for the first time, which is interesting. And I'm just like in a huge transition period, which is very scary.
And yet the most wonderful times in life.
Definitely. I definitely can feel myself like growing, and which is scary.
Yeah.
But it's
What's scary about growing?
I think like just not knowing what is going to happen after.
It's funny. We were talking with Grace last time, and we were talking about the feeling of not knowing, and that's pretty common. So many people are afraid of the not knowing, and yet when we were born into this life, we had no knowing, and everything was just pure curiosity. So how do we get back to that place of just pure curiosity without the fear of what lies beyond, right? So yeah, you're in a great time in your life. This is, there's a reason why your relationship ended. You're at a place where you're stepping into your career studies, which is really fun. Graduate school's the best. And then you're you're living on your own, which I think is really exciting. And you own a cat. Like
I do, yeah.
In this political environment, but And so tell me, do you have questions about life or anything you'd like to at this time in your life? What must be going through your head?
So I think like my biggest question right now is just like, how do I step into this next future with like certainty that I'm making the right decision?
You are always making the right decision. And I don't mean that frivolously or foo-foo-ish or whatever other word you want to put in there. You want to believe in you. The fact that you're asking the question says to you that there's a self-doubt. So you want to ask yourself where that doubt comes from, because when we have a decision as beautiful as the decisions you're making right now, you can't go wrong. Life is always going to steer you back to a very beautiful place. So it's going to get you back on track for your dreams, right? So when you make those decisions and you go with them, you have to just take that step. Then life says, okay, this is where you're headed. This is what you wanted to go do. Let's step into it. Let's go. And so you want to make the decisions with confidence. And where there is self-doubt, you want to ask. You want to ask, where is that doubt coming from? Because you can't possibly be making a wrong decision if you know the experience you wish to have, and you're aware of the dream at the other end, right? So allow yourself to just kind of settle into that. Where do you think the self-doubt comes from?
When it comes down to like, worrying if I'm making the right decision or not, or even like, trying to trust my gut whether or not I should do something, I can't distinguish whether it is the anxiety or like my gut actually telling me, my intuition actually telling me like, you should do this, you shouldn't.
Okay. Your intuition is actually that part of you that is connected to your higher self, to that energetic realm, to that space. Fear is of this realm, right? So fear is always going to be the very first thing you want to look at. You want to ask yourself, am I fearful in this thought? And if you are, that's not your intuition. Your gut is going to have, when it's a fear-based gut reaction, it's going to be literally guttural. It's going to be that fight or flight fear. Otherwise, it's your anxiety overriding the intuition more often than not. So, right now you're in a place where you're afraid of the unknown. You don't know what you're stepping into. You're really looking forward to going forward, but you want to know the answers so that you aren't fearful. So then your fear is going to dictate what feels like premonitional or intuitive, and it's not. That's the anxiety projecting into the future. So anxiety is a funny nut. It doesn't exist just as anxiety. It always comes from a past trauma. It could be just childhood inconsistencies. It could be something that happened, whatever. But it's always attached to trauma of some sort, perceived or actual, because it's still trauma to the body. So it has symbols in it, right? And those symbols are going to tell you what drives the anxiety, right? So the fear of the unknown could be a million things. We're not going to analyze that because that would be difficult. But if that fear of the unknown is clearly linking back to feeling more like out of control, not knowing how to predict, not knowing what's coming at you, the fear of being broadsided, things going wrong, destroying your world, coming up against you and you can't stop it, those kinds of fears are going to be underneath the anxiety in some way. And so with OCD, then again, you're trying to control and make the environment predictable. But you're at a time where control and prediction are off the table, right? And that's a great gift in life because it says to you, can you lean back? We call that surrender in life. Can you lean back and let life carry you through? You've gone this far. You've made a decision to step into law school. A decision was made for you to be alone at this time in your life. That's also by purpose. What do you need to do to lean back in life and say, show me the way. Show me how this is going to be wonderful and exciting.
I think, like you said, I need to trust that what is meant for me, I'm gonna find, regardless of how long it takes or how I will find it.
Yeah.
But and that's hard. That's so hard to just be like, okay, world, I'm giving it to the universe and letting them decide how.
What makes it hard?
Because I'm a control freak. I think letting go of control is so hard and uncomfortable.
Yes.
And
You're
scary.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not alone. I think if I hear anything, I hear constantly the need to control something, right?
Yeah.
And when we get into life, and especially into mastery, we realize there is no such thing as control. But getting from a place where we need to be in control to a place where we relinquish that and we open up to receiving what life is going to offer us, that's a great big step. And so I'm not going to worry about that right now, but you do want to ask yourself, keep yourself very clear on the picture on the other side. Do you see yourself as the attorney? How do you see your life up ahead? Have you created a vision for yourself that is the dream that Evie wants to live? And sometimes that dream is not quite complete. But if you have that dream, write it down. If you've ever done a vision board, right?
Maybe at your conference.
Right, right. Okay, you can use a vision board to manifest, but it's also your dream. So you want to come back to that focal point, right? You want to come back to that focal point and say, this is what it's going to look like. So how could I have made a wrong decision there?
Yeah.
Right? So I may not know what's between here and there, but I know I've got lots of people and energy around me that's going to help me stay on track to get from here to there. So that's one thing that will help with the anxiety. The other is to get up every morning and write down 3 things. I don't care if they're teeny tiny. 3 things that you're going to do in this day that are going to help you move toward that goal.
Yeah.
They can be teeny tiny little things, but it takes you out of thinking of the future and brings you into the present and shows you that you're taking steps going forward. Then at the end of each day, make sure you celebrate that you did those 3 things.
Yeah.
Celebrate, be grateful. So that now you're bookending your day with 2 positives that are known to you that you did today to get you to that dream without leaving it vague.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. When there's anxiety, vagueness is anxiety's best friend. Vagueness will take anxiety and just spiral it out of control if it can. So when you don't know, when you're feeling like you don't know what the future has in store for you, then that vagueness is just candy for the anxiety, and it's going to start going. So as soon as you think that way, just think to yourself, stop. The future is yet to be designed. And I'm designing it each day with the steps I'm taking.
Yeah.
So I'm headed in this direction, not that direction. I'm headed in this direction, right? When we venture out on a road adventure, we have a bit of a map. I may know that we're in Boca Raton right now, and we want to end up in Iowa. Tell me Iowa. What the hell we're going to do in Iowa? We'll walk around with some cows. Anyway, yeah, right. So that's like Ohio to me. So anyway, we're going to get from here to there. And so, but that's all we know. And we can see our trip. We can see the cornfields. We can see the farm life. And I don't know anything about Iowa. Why did I pick Iowa? Anyway, we see Iowa. We see what we want there, right? But we don't know where we're going to go. We look at a map, and there are endless ways to get there. We could drive, we could take a train, we could take a plane, we could take a bicycle, we could take whatever. We can take a million different roads. no matter what way we choose, and even if we switch along the way,
Mm-hmm.
we're still on our way to Iowa,
Yeah.
right? Because the dream is in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
So allow yourself to really sit back and understand that the anxiety wants to hinder
Mm-hmm.
that direct line.
Mm-hmm.
Life does not want to hinder it.
Yeah.
Where there is fear, there is an absence of love, right? And love is the freedom, it's the acceptance, it's the dream, right? That's all the yummy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the fear of the anxiety rips that apart because that's what it does.
Mm-hmm.
So you really want to be conscious about, yes, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and yet I do know.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if I stay focused on that dream, that everything is going to guide me in that direction,
Mm-hmm.
even if I don't know anything except the steps I'm taking today, right?
Yeah.
So I'll say one more thing. That brings us back to being very present,
Mhm.
right? Anxiety pulls from the past, as I said, it comes from the past, and it jetties out into the future,
Mhm.
right? Right over the top of where Evie is today,
Mhm.
right? And it does that to everybody. So we're not present.
Mhm.
The anxiety leaves us very much either there or there, but not here.
Mhm.
So if you start to take steps every morning, you write down your steps, and you become very present today to what you're doing for that dream becomes a goal.
Mhm.
But today, I'm going to do these steps. Then you clear your mind, not only the vagueness, but of letting the anxiety take you from the past to the future.
Mhm.
It literally leaps right over the top of you.
Mhm.
And so your life today has no meaning.
Mhm.
So the more meaning you can give to each day today, the more you keep that anxiety at bay.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think, so this is going to be like a double-ended question off that, but I don't know if you can manifest bad things happening in your life.
Of course.
I'm pretty sure I did, especially with my breakup. Like, I definitely manifested that on accident, and that's what I'm scared about. Like, I'm scared that I'm going to be trying my best to, take those steps like you said, and then, like, the fear is going to infiltrate that, and I'm going to manifest something that I do not want, or
It's a great question.
and that's terrifying,
Mhm.
and I don't know how to handle that.
Well, that's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I might manifest my fears. I'm scared to death. I'm terrified. I'm manifesting my fears. And so now you're in. So, yes, as you know, because, you took my course,
Mhm.
when we're manifesting, it starts with intention.
Mhm.
But we're talking about the energetic and the physical realm together. So we can't forget that we have a higher awareness of this lifetime.
Mhm.
Right? Some people call it a higher self, but we have a higher awareness, soulfully, of what we're here to experience. So you will manifest some of your fears,
Mhm.
right? And that's just what we do.
Mhm.
But once we become conscious of the fact that we don't want to manifest the fear, and we become aware of the fear, and we start to heal it in any way,
Mhm.
even if we're just doing our own thing, but we're conscious that we don't want that,
Mhm.
well, that's the message we're giving to the universe,
Mhm.
right? So it's going to help you with both sides of it.
Actually, yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that.
There were things in your relationship that were not satisfying to you,
Yeah.
and you didn't know how to leave it.
Mhm.
So you were in a quandary inside, and that
Yeah.
quandary on the inside, you knew at a higher level that it wasn't for you,
Mhm.
but you didn't have the conscious awareness, willingness, strength, something
Mhm.
to make that step and end up where you are today.
Yeah.
That was scary to you because
Yeah.
of the unknown. But it shows you in life that if we are so afraid of the unknown that we stay with what's familiar,
Mhm.
we can't find true happiness.
Yeah.
And we'll never be free
Mhm.
because we're trapped inside our own fears. So that breakup ends up being a beautiful gift from life, showing you that you can,
Mhm.
and that not only do you survive, but you thrive on, on the other side of those
Mhm.
choices, whether they're made for you or from
Yeah.
you. You're going to thrive on the other side of them, for
Mhm.
sure.
And I think when it came to the breakup, just about everyone in my life was telling me, like, it's time to be done. But I just, like, didn't listen to it because I don't think I was ready to, like, clean break it yet. And I think what held me back was, like, just that is such an absolute decision. Like, when it's done, and that is hard to come to terms with. Like, we were together for almost 3 years. So that's, like, a really huge adjustment period. And there was something, I don't know if it was like my conscious or something, but like was screaming at me that I needed to do it, and I just ignored it. And it went on way longer than it probably should have.
No, it went on as long as it was supposed to.
And I'm like trying to take the steps to like tap into like my, like I said, like my intuition almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get to the point where I just like fully trust it. And like I just fully know that whatever it's saying I need to follow.
Well, be aware that that is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then allow yourself to understand that what interrupts it is the anxiety. Because
Yeah.
fear is always going to leave the doubt. The doubt is always going to cause the hesitation. The hesitation is going to not allow you to trust
Mm-hmm.
the intuition. My intuition is so accurate these days
Mhm.
that it's, I wonder my own self, like sometimes I question it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it like I used to,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, am I sure about this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, Kristen, come on.
Yeah.
And so some of that is just humbling because like it's like, okay, where are we here with the intuition and all that good stuff? But on the other side, that wisdom starts to open up inside you.
Mm-hmm.
So your focal point right now is in a good place.
Mhm.
You know you need to get beyond the anxiety, and you do, because that's going to set you free.
Yeah.
You've made the right choice with law,
Mhm.
for sure. Do you know what kind of law you want to practice?
I'm all over the place. Like,
Good.
if money wasn't a thing, I'd love to be an environmental lawyer. But money is a thing, so I don't know.
Well, you're going to make money as an environmental lawyer.
No, so I'd want to work for like a nonprofit, like the Sierra Club or something.
Don't give up your dream.
I know there's just no money.
There is always money.
Yeah, what's meant for me will find me.
Correct.
Yeah.
So don't worry. Don't be afraid of the money not coming, because then money isn't what you want.
Yeah.
Love it, embrace it, and allow it to come to you in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be the environmental attorney for the Sierra Club,
Mhm.
and you do something on the law end of it that's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the media hits.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden the keynote speaking hits.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden Evie is the one who is a go-to for environmental law.
Mhm.
And money is flowing.
Mhm.
And you're still doing the charity work. You don't know. I mean, that's just an example.
Yeah.
But you stop your dream
Mhm.
and you'll stop the money flow.
Yeah.
Because you're not believing in what you want.
Mhm.
The gifts will come in whatever form they're meant to come,
Mhm.
as long as you stay true to your own self and the dream that you have in front of you.
Yeah.
So don't. I remember when I was married, he said to me I don't remember what I had said to him. We had all had this discussion about our careers, and it was me and working on my doctorate in psychology, my neighbor who was working on his doctorate in dentistry, next door to him, two people working on their doctorates in medicine, and next to them was Vicky working on her doctorate in phys, exercise phys.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all hanging out one night, shooting shit, and everybody's like, well, we all are going to make money and you're not. And I'm like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Because you work hour to hour and we don't.
Mhm.
So all of us will have the opportunity to make a lot of money, but you're going into a profession that's 1 hour at a time. I'm like, well, no, I can still make money. And I was really disappointed. I was like, well, that was really disappointed. And Greg actually said to me, don't let that dissuade you.
Mm-hmm.
Follow your heart. The money will always come.
Yeah.
And he said it to me again when we were getting divorced because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to afford my life. And he said, stick with your dreams. The
Mhm.
money will follow.
Yeah.
And I will never forget him saying it because it wasn't out of his character. It was out of the character of our relationship together.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I passed that forward because it was the greatest gift. And all of my friends are right. When you're practicing psychology as a profession, you can only make money 1 hour at a time.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Mhm.
And it is very, very, very limited on what you can make.
Uh-huh.
But I so love what I do.
Mhm.
And by the grace of God, I'm good at it.
Mhm.
That the joy that I have experienced in this lifetime
Mhm.
far exceeds the money that I haven't made.
Yeah.
So, and I make fine money. I don't make a lot of money, but it's fine. I
Mhm.
live very comfortably. So don't doubt yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a whole lot of money. You just want your freedom.
Yeah, and I think it's hard. Like we live in a society that places so much emphasis on like monetary success, when that is not what like everyone knows that's not what makes it, like your life pleasing or like fulfilling, but it's hard to like move past that, like seeing friends who will be making a ton of money and me knowing like in my heart that what I want to do I will not be rolling in money, but I know that I will love what I do. And it's hard to like walk away from living in a society and like being like inherently being taught that money is like the most important part. And it's hard to move past that.
Can I tell you? I have a friend who's very close to me who makes a tremendous amount of money each year. And she is so not happy. She lives in fear of war, of things happening, of not having a partner, just fear, not fully believing in herself, and yet she's got enough money to travel the world over and over and over without batting an eye. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have my life.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
So ask yourself where that comparison came from. And ask yourself what's important.
Yeah.
When we make the money is going to enhance the aspects of us that are alive, right? So if it's the fear, it's going to accent the fear. If it's the love of life, it's going to accent the love of life. So as money flows in my life, it just gives greater joy, greater freedom, greater ability to move through the earth and meet other people. But as you can see in my friend, it's stifling. Even though she can do all of that, none of it is as fulfilling as a weekend alone in my pool.
And I think that was so profound with what you just said, because so many people strive to make money out of greed, and then the money like exemplifies that. And I've never thought of it that way. I always thought like money built greed, but like looking at it as they're making money because they're greedy, and then once they get that money, that's just like blows up.
The greed is coming from their own fear, right? It's not coming. They don't want to be greedy. They didn't one day say, "I'm going to be greedy." They just, it just kind of comes because of their fear of not being good enough, and so they need more to fill it up and more to fill it up and more, and then we label it as greedy, but they're trying desperately to fill an empty spot somewhere. It's sad because money's never going to fill those spots. Nothing external is ever going to fill those spots, and everybody remember that. When we have that fear inside ourselves that is that we aren't good enough, and all of us have experienced that in our lives at some point or throughout. Nothing external is going to make that internal fear go away. That internal fear is going to go away when we turn our focus inside ourselves and ask, where does this come from and how do we make it go away? And so that's really where the greed comes from, right? It really is coming from that place where too often people don't know how to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. And like, so how would I, if I have friends who are like in situations similar to mine, like what can I do to like relay this and help them also?
Nothing.
No, just let them do it themselves.
Everybody has free will. What I've learned in my life is, this is why I always let my guests ask the questions. I am here to answer any questions that someone asks me. I am not here to tell you what to do or what I think is best for you, unless you ask. Because that's my ego. If I'm not asked, then I'm imposing, right? I think I know. I want you to know. But if they don't want to know, they're not ready yet. When they're ready, they will ask.
Yes.
And when they see you, and they see your happiness and your joy, and they want what you've got, then they'll ask.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're talking one day, and you're talking about how excited you are to be, that your dream is to be the attorney for the Sierra Club, and you're like, wow, you really get excited when you talk about that. Tell me more. Why are you so excited about that? You're not going to make much money. Well, now you have the opportunity to say, because I look for love and happiness before I look for the money, and then when the money comes, it will enhance all of that.
And I understand, because I know I've been in a situation like even the breakup where everyone in my outside life is like telling me what I need to do. And like in a weird way, I think everyone's kind of like this, but like that makes you want to dig your heels in and be like, I know what's best for myself. And at the end of the day, it has to be a decision that you make for yourself, or you're going to not be confident in the decision. And that's hard.
You just brought yourself right back to the beginning, right? that you have to be confident about the decision you make for yourself. It has to come from you. That doesn't mean that we do it all alone.
Mm-hmm.
That means we do it on our own with the help of others. And so that we seek the advice from the people who we trust, who we idealize, who we admire. And when we use those people who we want, then of course we're learning things that really grow our dreams.
Yeah.
Because they're coming from inside us, right? So if I go to someone who doesn't have a clue what I want to do in building this new phase of my life, which is really creating a way to reach everyone who wants to learn what I teach. If I start asking advice from someone who doesn't believe in my project, where do you think the project's going to go?
Nowhere.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's going to go nowhere. Because if I believe in it, and I know it's going to go somewhere, that's what's mattering, right? So now, my coach that I work with said to me, thank you, Chad, so much for saying this to me. He had me write down my vision, and I thought he wanted me to rewrite my vision. I had written my vision a long time ago, you know. And every time I do a vision statement with everybody else, I go back over mine to see if I can add anything to it. So he tells me to write the vision. I think I have to write this special business kind of vision statement. So I write it and I give it to him, and he says, and so on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, how would you rank this vision statement? And I said, this vision. And I said, well, probably a 5, at best a 6. He said, okay, we'll give it a 5.5. And I said, okay. I said, and the last one was a 2. He goes, well, you have to have at least a 7.5 for that dream to carry you through all of the days where you're buckled at the knees, you're afraid it can't go on, what if it doesn't happen, things are going against you. And I went, oh, shit. So I have that vision.
Yeah.
I said, it's 10 pages long, but I have that vision. He goes, well, please, tell me that vision. Because so often in my life, I've been down to less than 0 in the bank. I've had no money to pull from. I am wondering how the next day is going to unfold, wondering how the bills are going to get paid. Right? The finances are the scariest thing for most people. Now, you get to a point where that's like, okay, it's just going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Don't know how.
Yeah.
Days I'm exhausted. So exhausted, my knees buckle.
Yeah.
And I know. I do cry on those days because I don't know how I'm going to do it because I'm all alone.
And that's how I feel right now. Like, I'm working 2 jobs, I'm taking 2 classes, and I'm studying like 60 hours a week, and I'm just so tired.
Yes.
I don't feel like myself, and it's just exhausting.
You know it is. But if your dream is solid,
Yeah.
if you believe in it with all your heart, it carries you through.
Yeah.
And that I can promise you. And it's something because those days, all of a sudden I think, you know, I get to the office and I start to do my thing, and all of a sudden the energy is back again, and I'm ready to kick ass again. And I'm going, and it's wonderful. So you have to believe in the vision. You have to. So where your self-doubt is, you've got to ask what that doubt is.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah, I think it all stems, like you said, just from failing or like feeling like I'm not gonna be good enough. But I place my own standards on what I'm gonna do.
You learned that. You learned that.
Yeah.
You absolutely learned that. We do not, and I'll say this to all of you, we do not have expectations on ourselves. Expectations are all externally put upon us, and so what you just described is an expectation. It's not a goal. Like I put these high, you know, kind of you didn't use the word, but expectations on myself, and no, you don't. You learned that somewhere, and so it's time to unlearn that.
Yeah.
Expectations are stressors. They're to-do lists. No, you have your dream, you have your vision. You're going to go. Don't just start with having exactly what you know, and be clear. Be clear. Make sure that vision is written out, colored out. It is what it is, so that you can move. Always be moving towards it. Always.
And I know that that's so important. I have 2 amazing parents, but they're super successful. And my whole life growing up, not even maliciously, they'd be like, "We want you to be better than we are. We want you to have more than we do." And
There's the comparison.
That is just like knowing in my head that like that's just not attainable, which is fine.
Oh, it is.
But that's like just built into
What if being better
Who I
than they are is living beyond their fears?
Mhm.
Because your anxiety came from somewhere. So what if it's living beyond their fears and not the money?
Mhm.
Redefine it.
Yeah.
Redefine it. Don't make it about their money. Redefine it. And again, you don't know where your money's going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the money. Worry about your heart.
Yeah.
Always. And your feelings.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard, especially like I said, going through a breakup where like physically I was hurting, like my physical heart wasn't hurting.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to like focus on that when all it feels is like
Yes, it is.
it hurts, then that's it. It's like you don't think about what you like in your heart, like what you want to do and who you want to be because that's all you can think about.
That piece is so critical because our heart is of love.
Mm-hmm.
So we all want love in this lifetime. Our dream is part of love, right? And love, a loving relationship, is part of the dream.
Mhm.
So the relationship you had for 3 years, you had some dreams caught up in it, right? But they weren't really starting with you, they were starting with him.
Mhm.
So you have to start with you.
Mhm.
So again, what you're saying is, my heart hurt, it broke,
Mm-hmm.
but you made it through, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Barely.
going
Red
forward.
skin on my teeth.
But yeah, you made it through. So that love that you're searching for, that love that's so important, that's exactly what you're talking about in your
Mhm.
dream. And that's the joy and the fulfillment you're going to
Yeah.
have as you go forward.
And you're right, like the whole relationship, it was never about me. Like it was always, I'm this person's girlfriend, and I'm living in this person's shadow, and everything that we do is to put this person's, athletic career and academic career and professional career. And I was always like that backbone, and it was never like
If you can do that for someone else,
I have to do it
sure
for
as hell
myself.
can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, all women. I'll say it to all of you. We're socialized in this way, and that's another podcast, another day. But it's too often, too often, and I hear women say I did all of this for him, putting our own selves on the back burner, and a lot of that is the way we're socialized. And finding a way to lift ourselves out of that position and start to do on our own is really critical.
Yeah.
And you're there.
Yeah.
You're doing that now.
And it's not even like, I wouldn't even say I have doubt and fear in my ability. It's truly, I worry about the things that, like, even though I know that they aren't out of my hands, they just feel like they're out of my control.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in the past couple of years I've learned how to trust my ability, because before I didn't even do that. But now I just need to get past, like, trusting what is not in my control.
So, in an effort to start to wrap this up, look back at the last 3 or 4 years. Because when you stepped into college, it was new and you thought you were going to be out of control and it was unknown.
Yeah.
When you look back over those years, how much out of control do you see right off the bat?
Honestly, not a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the illusion.
Mhm.
You're going to be taking one day at a time. You're going to be taking those steps one day at a time.
Mhm.
And so as you keep moving forward, everything is going to come together,
Mhm.
right? And before you know it, there you are,
Yeah.
getting your bar
Mm-hmm.
and applying for, as an environmental attorney to various charities. And you're going to be accepted one day.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you're just going to be there.
Mhm.
And your ego is like, oh, but.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth of you
Mhm.
is that one day at a time, you're going to keep doing one step, and you will get there.
Yeah.
It always happens.
Mm-hmm.
It always happens.
Mm-hmm.
Your fear creates the illusion,
Mm-hmm.
not the truth. The intuition will touch the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we look back, we're talking about fear. We all have fear. We come into this life to experience fear and then to master it. Some will master, some we won't. And so Evie was talking about her fear of the unknown, stepping into this time. She's in a beautiful transitional time in her life. And so everything is changing. And we know we're on a magical path when our relationship, sounds like a country song, our relationship ends, our career is undone, we're living alone, and everything shit is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So as we move forward from that, everything is new,
Mm-hmm.
right? And everything is crisp and clear.
Mhm.
And if we take one step at a time and we believe in our dream, and we keep that dream very clear in front of us, then as we take one more step towards that dream, all of a sudden we find ourselves there. Our fears our broken hearts, we make it through that if we choose. And free will says we can make it through anything if we choose. So today we talked about various aspects of your anxiety and challenges in life, but also really what allows it to unfold, and how do I believe in myself? How do I get past that self-doubt? How do I step into the unknown without worrying about? And so we take it one day at a time. We become more present because we know that anxiety takes the past, jumps right over the top of us today, and sends us into the future. And here we are, lost, feeling kind of ungrounded because the anxiety has us left ungrounded. So we'll pull that back in. Take charge. We also had a little brief talk about money and how it will always accentuate those aspects of you that invite it in. So you can invite it in through your fears, or you can invite it in with your heart, through love. And if you love money and you love life, then what a beautiful match. So to all of you out there, thank you for listening and joining us today. And Evie, thank you so much for joining us.
That was great.
Awesome. Good. I'm so glad. Everybody is welcome to join us. Please don't hesitate to sign up on the link below if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast. I look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much for joining me, and please visit KristenBomas.com, where you can easily access all of my social circles.